Question 1. In light of recent developments, Mr. Allen, a newly certified home inspector, has been approached by his cousin who works as a real estate agent. She offers to recommend Mr. Allen exclusively to her clients in exchange for a referral commission of 10% for each successful inspection. Mr. Allen is struggling to grow his client base and sees this as an opportunity. However, he is also aware that his licensing body and Internachi have strict ethical standards. What is the most ethical and compliant course of action Mr. Allen should take? A. Accept the referral agreement as long as it is disclosed in the inspection report. B. Decline the offer and explain that such agreements violate the Home Inspector's Code of Ethics. C. Accept the offer, but only take it in cash to avoid official records. D. Request a written agreement from his cousin for transparency. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Under the Internachi and ASHI Code of Ethics, home inspectors must avoid conflicts of interest. Accepting referral fees from real estate agents can compromise objectivity and client trust. Section I of Internachi's code prohibits inspectors from receiving compensation from other parties with a financial interest in the sale. Disclosure does not legitimize unethical conduct. Transparency doesn't make conflict interest acceptable. Question 2. Throughout the course of a home inspection, Clara observes stair-step cracks on a brick exterior wall originating at the corners of a window. She also notices sloping floors and that doors stick when opening. The foundation is a concrete block crawl space system built in a high clay content soil region. What is the most likely cause of these observations? A. Normal thermal expansion and contraction of the framing. B. Differential settlement due to expansive soils. C. Improper roof drainage causing brick expansion. D. Improper drywall installation techniques. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Stair-step cracks in masonry, sticking doors, and sloping floors often indicate differential settlement, commonly linked to expansive clay soils. These soils swell when wet and shrink when dry, exerting pressure on the foundation. According to ERR.4, foundations must be designed for local soil conditions. Proper grading and drainage are critical to prevent these structural issues. None of the other options are for all the observed defects. Question 3. By evaluating a recent inspection report submitted by Mr. Thompson, the licensing board noticed photos that lacked captions, directional indicators, or any reference to the location of the observed defects. One of the photos showed a corroded water heater, but it was unclear where in the house it was found. Which best practice should Mr. Thompson have followed? A. Avoid taking photos unless defects are present. B. Use generic labels like Issue 1 or Problem Area. C. Include location, description, and severity in each photo label. D. Submit photos only in the appendix to avoid cluttering the report. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Proper photo documentation enhances report clarity and legal defensibility. Internachi and ASHI recommend that photos be clearly labeled with location, issue description, and direction when applicable. This allows clients and professionals to locate and assess defects. Unlabeled or unclear photos reduce report usefulness and can create liability risks if disputes arise. Question 4. Examining the consequences of Mr. Bernard performs an attic inspection and finds black staining on the underside of the roof sheathing and signs of wet insulation. The homeowner insists there have been no roof leaks. Upon further examination, Mr. Bernard notes that bath fans vent into the attic space and there's inadequate attic ventilation. What is the most likely cause of the staining? A. Excessive UV irradiation. B. Condensation due to improper venting of moist air. C. Mold growth from external water intrusion. D. Pest activity and nesting. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. The black staining is likely mildew or mold caused by moist air condensing on cold surfaces in the attic. Venting humid air from baths into the attic without exhaust to the exterior violates building best practices. According to RM.1, exhaust systems must discharge outdoors and ventilation must comply with R.2. This situation exemplifies moisture dynamics and how ventilation failures can lead to biological growth without roof leaks. Question 5. While examining Mr. Youssef's inspection report, an auditor noted the use of overly technical jargon and ambiguous conclusions such as Potentially hazardous wiring without context or location. What is the most effective way to improve the clarity and usefulness of the report? A. Avoid writing long descriptions and use abbreviations. B. Rely entirely on the client's real estate agent to interpret findings. C. Use clear, concise language and specify the location, condition, and recommendation. D. Eliminate all subjective comments, regardless of the defect. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. An effective inspection report must be comprehensible to non-experts. Ambiguous phrases can confuse clients or expose the inspector to liability. Best practices from Internachi SOP section in Roma require that deficiencies be described clearly, including location, implication, and recommendation. Avoiding jargon, explaining relevance, and organizing logically improves clarity and helps clients make informed decisions. Question 6. From a practical standpoint, Mr. Lopez inspects a home with a sloped asphalt roof and observes no gutters, evidence of soil erosion near the foundation, and signs of water intrusion in the basement. Which of the following actions would be most effective in mitigating further water damage? A. Install vapor barriers in the basement. B. Seal the cracks in the basement walls only. C. Install gutters and properly directed downspouts. D. Paint the exterior siding with water-resistant paint. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Water control starts at the roof line. Without gutters, water falls near the foundation, leading to erosion and basement seepage. According to ERR.3 and R.3, drainage systems should move water away from the structure. Gutters and downspouts extended for 6 feet from the foundation are primary line of defense against water intrusion. Interior fixes won't solve the exterior drainage problem. Question 7. Taking into account a situation where Rachel, an inspector, discovers suspected mold in a crawl space during an inspection, but she is not certified to perform mold testing or remediation. The client asks her for confirmation and advice on how to treat it. How should Rachel respond? A. Confirm it's mold and suggest bleach as remedy. B. Advise the client to ignore it if it's not extensive. C. Refer the client to qualified mold remediation specialist. D. Take sample for lab testing herself. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. According to Internachi Code of Ethics Section ID, inspectors must work within their area of competence. Unless licensed for mold testing, confirming its presence and advising treatment exceeds scope and can lead to liability. The ethical approach is to refer the client to a qualified IAC or mold specialist, preserving client trust and professional boundaries. Question 8. Contrary to popular belief, Mr. Keene observes vertical cracks on a stucco-clad wall beneath window corners. He notes no controlled joints on the wall and that the cracks appear to widen at the top. Which of the following best explains the likely cause? A. Natural weathering of the finish. B. Structural movement and lack of expansion control joints. C. Improper paint adhesion over stucco. D. Insect damage behind the cladding. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Stucco is brittle and prone to cracking when expansion control joints are not used, especially over large wall spans. Vertical cracks near openings suggest movement stress points. According to Atom C and C, control joints should be installed at maximum intervals to manage expansion contraction. Structural movement without joints causes stress to concentrate at weak areas. Question 9. When faced with a time-limited inspection, Mr. Daniel considers skipping the attic and focusing only on systems visible from the ground. However, the buyer insists on full documentation. What should guide Mr. Daniel's approach? A. Skip areas that are hard to access. B. Prioritize areas based on client instruction. C. Follow the SOP and document inaccessible areas. D. Focus only on major systems like HVAC and electrical. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Home inspectors must follow a systematic approach as defined in the Internachi and ASHI SOPs and not alter the scope based solely on time constraints or client pressure. If an area is inaccessible, it should be clearly documented with reasons. Skipping the attic without proper justification violates standards and exposes the inspector to liability. Question 10. To better understand a newly installed PEX plumbing system, Certdemy checks the water pressure at the hose bib and finds it exceeds 90 psi. Which of the following is the most appropriate corrective recommendation? A. Replace the PEX with copper piping. B. Reduce the water heater temperature. C. Install a pressure-reducing valve (PRV). D. Open all fixtures to relieve pressure. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Water pressure over 80 psi can damage fixtures and piping, especially PEX, which is flexible and vulnerable to pressure spikes. According to ERCP 903.3.1, EET installed when pressure exceeds 80 psi, high pressure is a code violation and risk factor. Lowering water temperature or purging fixtures is ineffective. Question 11. Upon closer examination, Certdemy inspects a newly constructed home and notices that there is no visible house wrap or weather-resistant barrier behind the fiber cement siding. The builder assures him that caulking at joints and seams is sufficient. During a rainstorm, staining appears on the interior walls adjacent to exterior cladding. What is the most appropriate conclusion regarding the builder's approach? A. Caulking its seams is not substitute for drainage plane behind the cladding. B. Cement board is naturally water resistant and does not require moisture barrier. C. Siding systems are designed to be completely waterproof on their own. D. Interior wall staining must be due to plumbing leaks, not the siding. Answer. Correct answer. Explanation. Fiber cement siding is not inherently waterproof and relies on a drainage plane like house wrap to control moisture. According to ER 0311, a weather-resistant barrier is required behind exterior cladding to protect the structure. Caulking cannot ensure long-term moisture protection, and its failure leads to water intrusion as evidenced by the staining. Improper detailing violates envelope protection principle. Question 12. With the advent of multi-layer roofing systems, Diego is inspecting a two-story home and observes roof-to-wall junctions on dormers that lack visible step flashing under the shingles. Instead, roofing cement appears to have been used to seal the area. What is the primary risk of relying solely on roofing cement instead of flashing? A. Increased wind uplift. B. Reduced attic insulation performance. C. Long-term water intrusion and hidden rot. D. Higher attic humidity due to solar gain. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Roofing cement deteriorates over time and does not replace the mechanical water shedding capabilities of properly installed step flashing, which is mandated by RR 0321. Flashing is essential for diverting water away from critical roof-to-wall intersections. Improperly flashed areas are common points of leakage that lead to rot, mold, and structural decay inside wall cavities. Question 13. The growing trend in energy-efficient building practices has led many homes to be sealed tightly to minimize air leakage. During an inspection, Taylor finds no signs of mechanical ventilation in a new home with spray foam insulation throughout the envelope. What is the main risk associated with such airtight construction without proper ventilation? A. Higher electric bills due to equipment strain. B. Reduced structural integrity from air stagnation. C. Poor indoor air quality and increased humidity. D. Excessive sound transmission between rooms. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Modern high-performance homes must balance airtightness with proper ventilation. Without mechanical ventilation, e.g., EVS contaminants, and humidity accumulate, degrading indoor air quality and increasing risk of mold. ASHRAE Standard 62.2 recommends whole house ventilation in tightly sealed homes. Airtightness is beneficial only when paired with controlled ventilation. Question 14. In terms of observable symptoms, Mr. Patel notices that several sinks and tubs in a home gurgle after draining and emit sewer odors. There are no obvious leaks or blockages. He suspects a venting issue. What is the most likely explanation? A. Oversized water traps holding too much water. B. Missing or improperly installed vent pipes. C. Some pump failure causing negative pressure. D. Excess water pressure forcing traps to empty. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Gurgling and sewer odors typically point to inadequate or absent venting, which causes siphoning of traps and loss of water seals. The IRE Chapter PP mandates proper venting to maintain neutral air pressure in the system. Improper or missing vents allow negative pressure to pull water from traps, allowing sewer gases to enter the home. Traps and water pressure are not the culprits here. Question 15. Based on the information, is Kim uses inspection software that auto-generates checklists. She notices it defaults to acceptable for several areas she did not inspect due to inaccessibility. After finalizing the report, client complains that the uninspected attic had major rodent infestation. What critical error did Kim commit? A. Failing to inspect the attic. B. Relying on software-generated wording without manual review. C. Not recommending pest control. D. Not taking thermal images. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Automated checklists must be reviewed and modified to reflect actual site conditions. Marking areas as acceptable that were not observed is misleading and creates liability. According to INTERNACHI SOP 3.0, inspectors must clearly state when systems or components are not inspected and why. Reports must be truthful and reflect professional judgment. Not unchecked automation. Question 16. Through the lens of safety compliance, Istapol inspects a newly renovated home and observes that the staircase lacks handrails on one side and the stair treads vary in height between steps. Which of the following represents the greatest hazard in this situation? A. Tread color mismatching. B. Inconsistent riser height creating trip hazard. C. Lack of decorative finish on handrails. D. Exposed nails on stair nosing. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Inconsistent riser heights create a serious tripping hazard, especially if variation exceeds 3.8 inch per us. R11751. Uniformity in treads is critical for muscle memory during walking. The absence of handrails also violates R1178, but varying riser height is statistically linked to more falls and injuries than cosmetic or finish-related issues. Question 17. In contrast to the framing shown on plans, Jana finds that an interior wall suspected to be non-load bearing shows signs of stress cracks above door frames. The homeowner removed a section of the wall to create an open floor plan. What factors should the inspector assess to determine if the wall was improperly removed? A. Whether drywall type meets fire code. B. Presence of ceiling joists or beams above the wall. C. Condition of the electrical outlets in the room. D. Age of the original paint. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. To determine load-bearing status, inspectors examine framing alignment, especially whether ceiling joists, beams, or trusses rest on or intersect with the wall. Removing a load-bearing wall without adequate structural support violates ER and may lead to settlement or collapse. Hairline cracks and door misalignment often reveal hidden structural shifts due to unsupported loads. Question 18. Focusing specifically on visual indicators, Istacolid observes shingle cupping, granular loss, and visible substrate in several roof sections, yet no current leaks are reported by the seller. The home is 18 years old with original asphalt shingles. What conclusion should Istacolid draw? A. The roof is functioning properly since there are no leaks. B. Granular loss is cosmetic and does not affect function. C. The roof has reached the end of its service life and replacement is recommended. D. These conditions are caused by attic pests. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Signs such as cupping and granular loss indicate UV degradation and aging. Asphalt shingle roofs typically last 1.5 to 2 years, depending on quality and climate. According to NREA guidelines, visual deterioration is a valid reason to recommend replacement even if no leaks are yet present. Waiting for leaks exposes the structure to water damage. Question 19. The central argument for using a pre-inspection agreement is often misunderstood. Mr. Lorenzo completes an inspection without having the client sign an agreement. Later, the client sues for failure to report a minor plumbing leak. What major legal protection did Mr. Lorenzo forfeit? A. The right to determine inspection duration. B. The right to limit the inspection to SOP-defined items. C. The ability to upsell additional services. D. The right to charge for re-inspection. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. The pre-inspection agreement is A legal contract that defines the scope and limitations of the inspection, including adherence to the INTERNACHI or ASHI SOP. Without a signed agreement, ISTA Lorenzo may be held liable for areas not covered in the standard scope. This agreement is essential for risk management and liability limitation. Question 20. The interrelationship between chimney drafting and combustion becomes evident when Izanaka observes soot stains on the hearth and the smell of smoke indoors after the fireplace is used. What is the most likely cause? A. The flue liner is made of unapproved material. B. The damper is permanently open. C. The flue is obstructed or improperly sized, causing poor draft. D. The firewood used is not fully dry. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Poor drafting leads to backflow of smoke visible as certain odors indoors. A blocked or undersized flue, or one without adequate height above the roof line per NFPA 211, disrupts the chimney's ability to expel combustion gases, while wet wood can cause creosote build-up. The draft is the primary issue if smoke enters living areas. Question 21. The traditional approach to evaluating exterior systems prompts ISTA Solomon to closely inspect a home with IVE's exterior insulation and finish systems siding. He observes bulging sections and staining of window corners along with delamination when gently probing with a moisture meter. What is the most probable issue and best interpretation? A. These are aesthetic issues caused by minor thermal expansion. B. There may be water intrusion behind the cladding due to lack of proper drainage and flashing. C. The staining and bulging are typical of well-aged IVE systems. D. The delamination is likely from insect damage within the foam. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. IVE systems without drainage planes or flashing are highly prone to moisture entrapment, causing rot, mold, and structural damage. This has led to lawsuits and revised standards. Per Atomy, IVE's installations require drainage provisions to prevent trapped water. Bulging and delamination suggest moisture saturation behind the barrier, not cosmetic or insect-related damage. Question 22. As a result of increased rainfall and poor drainage grading, ISTA Harris finds standing water in a crawl space. The foundation is pier and beam with wood joist showing signs of mold and sagging. Which repair recommendation aligns best with professional standards? A. Add foundation vents to dry the area and repaint framing. B. Recommend immediate grading correction and installation of a vapor barrier. C. Suggest removal of standing water and leave the rest to dry naturally. D. Reframe the entire structure with treated lumber only. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Standing water in crawl spaces leads to mold, wood rot, and structural instability. C section R requires proper grading and a continuous Class I vapor barrier over exposed soil. The first step is correcting drainage to prevent recurrence, followed by vapor control. Ventilation alone is insufficient when standing water exists. Full reframing is excessive without correcting the source. Question 23. In response to client concerns, ISTA Gene inspects a recently remodeled kitchen. While the cabinets look new, he finds they are not level, doors do not close properly, and countertops have visible gaps where they meet the wall. What do these defects likely indicate? A. Normal installation tolerances and cosmetic issues. B. Possible installation on an uneven floor or improper fastening. C. Countertops were manufactured with incorrect materials. D. The home was built before cabinet standards existed. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Improperly installed cabinets often stem from uneven subflooring or lack of correct shimming, anchoring, and alignment. According to NCAPA and ANSI 0.1 standards, cabinets must be installed level and securely. Poor fastening causes instability and misalignment. These are functional, not cosmetic, defects and indicate subpar craftsmanship. Question 24. From multiple perspectives, ISTA O'Brien includes the following clause in his inspection report. This inspection does not guarantee the future performance of systems. The client sues him when the HVAC fails week later. What role does this disclaimer play? A. It voids the inspection entirely and releases all liability. B. It reinforces that home inspections are non-invasive and time-limited assessments. C. It replaces the need for any insurance or licensing. D. It applies only to mechanical systems, not structural ones. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. A properly worded limitation of scope clause clarifies that a home inspection is a snapshot in time, not a guarantee of future system performance. According to Ashi and Tanachi SOPs, inspections are visual, non-invasive, and not technically exhaustive. While disclaimers cannot eliminate liability entirely, they help define expectations and support defensibility in disputes. Question 25. A key distinction between traditional tank and tankless water heaters arises when Isafara finds a tankless gas unit installed in a confined laundry room with no exterior ventilation. What is the major safety concern in this scenario? A. Noise levels from tankless units. B. Risk of overheating internal components. C. Accumulation of carbon monoxide due to poor ventilation. D. Water pressure fluctuations in multi-level homes. Answer. Correct answer. See explanation. Gas-fired tankless water heaters require adequate combustion air and direct venting. Without proper ventilation, they pose a serious co-risk. Gas appliances must not be installed in confined spaces. Without dedicated make-up air and proper flue systems, carbon monoxide buildup is life-threatening and violates code. Question 26. The validity of proper attic airflow design is tested when Mr. Jacob finds roofing deck mold despite a new asphalt roof installation. Soffit vents are visible, but the ridge vents are blocked by insulation. What is the most likely cause of the mold? A. Excessive heating due to dark shingles. B. Inadequate attic ventilation preventing airflow. C. Ice damming from missing drip edge. D. Interior moisture from the garage. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Blocked ridge vents disrupt attic ventilation, trapping warm, moist air that condenses on cooler roof sheathing. Per ASAR, attic ventilation must have balanced intake and exhaust. If either is obstructed, moisture accumulates leading to mold. Even with visible vents, blocked paths negate effectiveness. Proper airflow prevents temperature or moisture stratification. Question 27. Upon closer examination, Dana inspects a cracked concrete walkway with significant heaving near tree roots. The client wants to know whether the cracks are typical aging. What is the most accurate explanation? A. The cracking is normal and no repair is necessary. B. The heaving is likely caused by root intrusion or frost action. C. It is solely due to poor concrete curing practices. D. The issue is related to settlement due to sinkholes. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Heaving in walkways, especially near trees, is commonly caused by root intrusion or frost heave in cold climates. According to SI 360, tree roots exert pressure on slabs leading to cracks and uneven surfaces. Curing or sinkholes may cause cracks, but the visible upward displacement points to external pressure, not just age. Question 20. From a historical standpoint, Mr. Nolan finds textured wall paint in an older home and suspects the finish may contain asbestos. The homeowner claims no record of asbestos exists. What should Mr. Nolan do? A. Assume the material is safe if painted over. B. Recommend immediate asbestos remediation. C. Inform the client that confirmation requires laboratory testing by qualified professionals. D. Remove a sample for testing during the inspection. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Inspectors should not confirm or deny asbestos unless they are certified. The correct approach is to recommend testing by a qualified lab, especially in homes built before 1980 when asbestos was common in textured coatings. Per EPA rules, sampling must follow strict protocols advising testing ensures safety without overstepping scope. Question 29. Despite the fact that a home has new vinyl windows, Mr. Lucas finds that several won't lock properly and one window falls shut when opened. What is the appropriate interpretation? A. Windows are cosmetic features and don't require inspection. B. These defects indicate mechanical or balance failures that affect safety and function. C. Poor energy efficiency is the main issue here. D. Vinyl windows naturally shrink and swell. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Windows must be functional and secure, especially for egress and child safety. A window that won't stay open indicates failed balance system and lock failures are security issues. Internachi SOP Section 3.9 includes operability of windows. These are reportable defects, not cosmetic concerns. Energy loss is secondary to mechanical failure. Question 30. Considering the evidence, Mr. Ethan inspects a basement with a sump pump discharging directly onto the lawn next to the foundation. The client reports frequent cycling and occasional water intrusion. What recommendation should Mr. Ethan prioritize? A. Extend the discharge line away from the house. B. Replace the sump pump with a larger model. C. Reduce pumping frequency by disabling the flow. D. Plug the discharge line during dry months. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Discharging a sump pump next to the foundation can lead to a recycling loop saturating the soil and forcing water back into the basement. According to ER.1, discharge should be directed away from the structure, ideally 10 feet or more. Upgrading pumps or altering operation without addressing drainage is ineffective and risky.